Aloha and welcome to Betty's Real Estate Corner, brought to you by Sakamoto Properties, where prestige is our business, reputation our foundation. Again, we get that great Danny Couch coming into this, and I love Hawaii. And somehow, I can't say it enough, I love Hawaii. I'm one of the most fortunate people in the world. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and I'm living in Hawaii. That just fascinates everybody back home in Buffalo. Today, in the studio, we happen to have David Friedman, who many of you know. His company formerly was Island Mortgage, and he has been one of the top lenders in Maui, and is now working, his new company is Diamond Head Funding, and he seems to be able to pull off some loans that nobody else can pull off. So, David, what do you got to say this morning?
I'm reminded of how lucky we are, first off, to live in Hawaii and on Maui, as you say. The drive over, we saw beautiful whales, Hawaiian monk seal, and rain showers in a rainbow. It's a really special place to live, and I think with that you need specialists when it comes to your real estate advice as well as your lending. And it's, one of these things where I have been a lender in California and throughout the whole U.S., and Hawaii has situations that are unique only to Hawaii, and we are a small state, and whenever you are doing some type of transaction here, whether it's in finance or purchasing of the real estate, and when it comes to permitting and things like that, you need someone who has local experience, has done it before, and usually you'll get the results that you pay for.
Totally agree with you. And today, if more than ever before, when you're looking for a loan, you really need to have a specialist. David has helped us in a number of, fairly high loan balances right now, or loan purchases, and it's been amazing what he's been able to do. But even if your purchase is small, you want to try to hook up with the best lender that you can and really learn as much as you can, because it's something you can't do yourself. The last thing you want to do is start an online process that you end up a little buried in, and then you end up closing a loan that in the end probably costs you way more than it should. So David can be reached at 385-8558. How do I always remember that number? I'm doing good here, David.
It's a great morning.
It is a great morning, and nobody got really stuck in traffic today. There's a little construction going on, but we did pretty good.
When you're stopping to look at whales, I don't think you can really complain.
No, I'm totally with you. There were whales everywhere today, so it really is, actually, this is really good to say, because we do put this up on YouTube, and I've had calls now from people that have listened to this or watched the show. So I think we should remember that even though these people aren't necessarily here in Maui today able to listen to the radio, we do have a number of people now that are listening and looking at it on YouTube. So let's remember that. I mean, this is the greatest place in the world, bar none.
Absolutely. We had a storm the other week where it washed some of the boats on shore, and we were at the office in Lahaina at our desk, and we turned on the webcams, and we were looking at Sheraton BlackRock, and we saw one of the boats on the sand. And it's one of these things where it's amazing what technology allows us to see and have access to. I think, again, touching on certain things, sometimes that gives a false sense of comfort to someone's background and knowledge. The consumer is still going to need the professional advice of a realtor or of a lender. The sites that are out there, we have access to tons of information. Unfortunately, without that person as counsel, one of those professions, we can find ourselves once again getting it a little bit over our head.
Well, I think you're right. Even we're finding right now, and the same thing that you're saying, people arrive in town and they want to look at real estate, but they've been looking at a variety of sites for months. So they've got this preconceived notion that they already have it figured out, and what they're doing is bringing us a list, and that's exactly what they want to look at. Well, pretty quickly we figure out that doesn't work, because it isn't what they really want. There's a whole lot of different things that are going into that today. But I think it is vitally important that people realize that they do want an expert, And I agree with you, whether you're buying real estate, selling real estate, or you're looking to refinance, or you're looking for a purchase loan, you need experts. And what's going on online, it's really great. I respect people that take the time to do it. But ask your expert and figure out why you should look at some of the other properties. You know, as long as we're in here and we've got you in the loan and in the studio, what is going on right now? What would you say for different loan, you know, whether it's the lower end or the top end? Can you give us a little bit of a brief summary, what you think is happening and where, what it would take right now? Let's say somebody's buying a $3 million property, you know, or someone's buying a $300,000 property.
Well, it's a fantastic time. I'm going to start off with the basis of the conforming loan in Hawaii. We're in a little bit of a higher cost state, and that allows a higher loan limit. And our 30-year fixed is at 3.5 today. I've never seen rates like this, and I've been a lender for almost 20 years. Our 15-year fixed is at 2.875. These are fixed rates for conforming loans. What it does is the person who's refinancing might either pull cash out of their home if they have the equity, or they might save on their monthly income. And what's great is the prices are at an all-time low, in my opinion, when we factor in inflation. The rates are at an all-time low. People's buying power is being increased by the lower rates. So I think if everyone can get back from all the bad news, which everyone loves to digest and throw back, and really take a look at where we are today, it's a great time to buy and it's a great market. The lenders are becoming a little bit more quick to lend on the conforming loans, but we're seeing a lot of niche and specialty products come out because people in the banks are only getting 1%. So the lower rates, the other effect, the pendulum effect, is it drives the money out of the banks, and it drives it into real estate-backed securities.
David, we're going to interrupt this a little bit because we have a very famous caller. We have Roy Sakamoto coming on the line with some information on a property that we just listed, and he's at the property right now. Aloha, Roy.
Great new listing is 3-bedroom. Each bedroom has its own bath. Each bedroom is the ensuite, and home also has 2 half baths. 4,100 square feet of livable area.
You know, Roy, don't you think the 2 half baths really do make that special at Pineapple Hill? Because the office upstairs has its own bath. I think it really is really an amazing property.
We're having our first showing. Just hit the market this morning, and we're already having our first showing. So, sitting there waiting for the clients to show up.
Let's hear about the view. Just kind of walk out there. Are there any rainbows, any whales, anything? We've been talking about what's going on today with rainbows and whales and stuff.
Oh, I saw a pot of whales a few minutes ago. Unbelievable. Great views from the Maui and Molokai in the distance. We'll get sunsets all year round. It's spectacular.
I think actually, I'm sorry, you know, you can actually see all of Molokai and beyond, and all of Lanai and beyond.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing. The view there is amazing.
This is one of the best views anywhere in Papua, certainly at Pineapple Hill.
Sometimes when I think of Pineapple Hill, now maybe because we happen to be living there, it's, you know, my opinion could be not taken as seriously, but I think there's some of the greatest views in the world, you know, where you're looking out at that full ocean view, and you've got 2 outer islands, and if you can keep that pot of whales there until the people arrive,
Okay.
they're buying that place.
Right. Oh, no question. And the serenity of Pineapple Hill. There's birds singing. There's a couple of resorts, as you know, in Compact. It was kind of on its way down for a while, but with the upgrading of the golf courses, immensely successful 100-day tournament in January.
Huge.
Capital Resort is back on the map and going places.
Yeah, I feel ever since, and I don't know if did you watch the tournament at all, David?
Yes, I did.
Good. Yeah, well, we have found that since the tournament happened, we're getting tons of calls. We have way more escrows than we had before. And in a couple of cases, we're almost hitting bidding on some of these properties. So it's a way interesting time from what we were dealing with. And I believe it started as the tournament got into full swing. And when you've got a tournament that's going to be prime time in New York, you've got a lot of bodies that are watching it. So we're really happy with everything that's happened and what Troon Golf has done for Kapalua.
Oh, huge. Absolutely huge.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to ring off now because the client.
Okay, perfect.
Great to hear from you, Roy.
Talk to you soon.
Okay,
Dave.
call the whales back.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
Aloha.
If I can touch on this, Troon has a fantastic track record. If you go to Scottsdale area and you see what they've done with their communities, it's incredible. And, we forget, we take it for granted. I've been here for several years. I live in a house where your husband grew up.
This is an amazing story, actually. Can't go through the whole thing, but he actually does live in a house that he purchased after Roy's dad passed away. And we almost kept it, and then David and his wife decided to buy it, and we didn't think they'd really stay forever. It's kind of a smaller cane house on Lahaina Luna Road, but there's something special about the property, and they've stayed there. I mean, this is like 11 years, isn't it?
It is. We're going on our 11th year.
Yep.
It touches on this. Maui is a very unique, special place. The last couple of years, we've been very fortunate to travel throughout the U.S. and North America, and everybody always compares everything when they come back to Kapalua or to West Maui. And I see this when I come back. I live in a fantastic place, but sometimes we take it for granted.
We all take it for granted. Sometimes when I'm driving, or somebody might say to me, "Where's the sun setting right now?" And I have to stop and think, I don't know, I'm not looking out all the time. But I need to remember, we all need to remember what an amazing life we have and appreciate every sunset. Let's remember that tonight, David.
Absolutely. If I can touch on one more thing,
Yep.
if I may. Betty and I, we live about 17 miles apart, and we sometimes will go, it's too hot in Lahaina, and we'll take a drive up to Kapalua, and we will see a fantastic sunset, beautiful weather. It's 5 or 6 degrees, or sometimes even 10 degrees cooler. And this goes back to a real specific knowledge in an area, and this goes back to a specialist. And this is where I think it's more important today than ever. Today, when we are making our commitments to new real estate, to purchasing new real estate, we want to make sure that, as with us, with the house that we bought, we're okay being within it in 11 years. I think we looked at it as we could be there for a long term, and we've been happy with it. And I think the long-term horizon commitment of money, you really want to make sure that the person that you're dealing with is going to help you get the property that suits you. Sometimes I think the realtor is also a little bit of a psychotherapist.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We definitely think we're psychotherapists. We may not be, but we give it a try. We give it a go. And I think it is hard because people don't always know exactly what they want. And I think it's good. I think counseling and being honest with your realtor and your mortgage broker so that we don't get you into something that's above what you really want to do. And it's not whether you can. Sometimes I'll try to say to someone, how much cash do you want to put into a property right now versus how much can you afford? It's not what you can afford necessarily. And with all we've learned, it definitely isn't. You want to get into a property that you're comfortable with and that you'll be comfortable with for the next 11 years at least.
Every time when we come home, we always look at our home as not a house, but as a home.
Absolutely.
And so this morning I was picking an avocado off one of the trees in our backyard, and home ownership on someone like my level, where it's our home, we have a couple of investment properties, but our home is something that's so important to love where you drive home to, love the door when you open it, and just go, this is it. And today we are seeing prices that are fantastic in West Maui, and with the cost of money being what it is, I think it's brought in a whole new sector of buyers. At the rates that we're at, you might find someone who couldn't afford a house 2 years ago can absolutely afford more house than they thought they could.
I think it's totally right. We should probably drift back to where we stopped when Roy got on the phone with us. And let's talk a little more about some of these rates because, You know, when you're saying right now that a conforming loan, which is up to
$625,500.
and that's the loan, you know, you'd be able to do that amount of a loan, and at 3.5%, 30-year fixed, and 2.875 for a 15-year fixed. You know, that is really has been unheard of. You know, those are the prices that were adjustable rate mortgages, and we were feeling really good about them. But I think it is worth somebody right now that thought they weren't going to buy or was thinking about buying. I think this really does step them up to a buyer and being able to get a fabulous house here.
That is a payment on the $625,000 loan amount of $2,631.
And that's based on the 30-year fixed?
The 30-year fixed at 3.5%.
Now again, for us in Maui, that price, let's say even $2,700 a month, you know, if you're going to have a home, you're going to have higher rent than that. You know, so in addition to that, obviously, you've got insurance and you're going to have your taxes. But when you sit down with your lender and or at the same time your accountant and you realize the benefits of home ownership, you know, a lot of people right now, residents here, you should be buying now. There's no question, you should be buying now because these prices aren't going to last.
I had the pleasure of speaking with Elizabeth from your office the other day, and one of the things that she really seems to embrace is the new first-time home buyer.
Absolutely, she does.
And it's one of these things where when that person takes that jump, we have all been there. I remember when I bought my first home with the help of Mitch from Sakamoto Properties.
Yes.
And having been in the business even for 5 years, I was scared. And Mitch walked me through it. He held my hand. And I think I shed a couple of tears as well as Mitch.
Mitch is the best. Mitch is someone that, God forbid, you shed a tear in Mitch's presence because he will cry with you and totally out of love and caring. But he is someone that really does care, and I remember that deal.
You know, I can't speak enough about that experience because it was probably not the normal house that Sakamoto Property Listing would have expected. It was in a affordable area, and the service that we got was exceptional. And I was absolutely, having been in the industry, still blown away, and having seen many great transactions, still blown away at how well we were treated. And I see that care go into all of his transactions. And I think that speaks so much to you because when I came here, the time that Roy, that you, that Dean, and Mitch all imparted on me on how to treat
and Charlie
the
Pride.
And Charlie Pride. How
Charlie
could I
Pride
forget
was there.
that?
Yes, I did until this minute. When we met, Charlie Pride was having dinner with us and in a restaurant, and David was there, and we had the best time getting together and talking. But I totally forgot that experience. And then we've all been friends, and we've worked together ever since. And that's a lot of years. That's a lot of years.
And to bring the point of Roy grew up in Lahaina, and Roy has decided to specialize with you in Kapalua real estate. I think it's very believable to say that no one has more experience in Kapalua than Roy.
Absolutely. You know, just so you know, we do as an office, and we will ourselves, we will help any first-time home buyer, and we'll be available to them. So, I mean, Elizabeth, like you're saying, Mitch recently did a couple of really great purchases for people. And we do want to always help the first-time home buyer or the local resident who's trying to figure out how they can move up in what they're doing, or should they buy, you know, or maybe they've owned before, but they just really have been a little afraid. They sold something not too long ago. But, you know, we will take the time with you and have you come in our office, have a cup of coffee some morning, and talk to you about what direction you should be going in. Tell me, before I think we're going to wind down faster than we think here. So I'm kind of hoping, why don't you tell us a little more about what your company is doing and how somebody should reach you and your website? I've got somebody right now I'm going to ask you about afterwards that's working, that wants a loan. So
I think first off, the thing is, the first-time home ownership is so important because that's where a whole recovery has started, and prices are affordable, and we're going to see that move upward all across the board. And I want to tell everyone out there, because I went through this experience, Mitch worked with us and showed us homes for 6 months, and I honestly could not believe, again, the experience that we had as first-time home buyers. And don't be scared if you're out there. It doesn't cost anything to give myself a call or to speak to someone from Sakamoto Properties. You have a wealth of resource, and it's free and easily accessible. My website is diamondheadfunding.com. Sakamoto Properties online, you can't beat that for information.
SakamotoProperties.com.
And when you have someone, I won't say Roy's age, but it's fair
Oh,
to say he's got
excuse
more
me.
than 50 years living on the west side, involved with real estate on the west side. When I bought Roy's childhood home, there were books from the 60s and 50s on real estate. And so the depth of experience, and it's accessible. This is so important because to get someone who said, I've lived here, I've done this my whole life, you're never going to really find that here, anywhere else, at any other brokerage at all. So I'm a fan. I'm
Thank you so
I'm,
much.
I'm a user
Thank
as
you.
well. For product, we see new product coming out every day. I think the hedge funds and the commercial banks are excited because they're able to lend with Hawaii real estate. We see product coming out specific to Hawaii that is a lot easier to qualify for today than it was just 3 months ago. It's changed that dramatically.
That's going to make a big difference in sales because people have been somewhat afraid to end up, into what they thought was a mortgage loan saga that they would never come out of, or then they're going to be spending money on a variety of things to get to the stage, and then they're going to lose whatever that was, inspections, et cetera, et cetera. So when David says that, over the years, David has always been able to, once he steps in and he's got a loan application and he's met with you, if he says he can do a loan, barring something that comes back a little different from what you've said or a change, he does get the loans together and he does make them happen. So I think, again, talking to David is really great, talking to Sakamoto Properties. Obviously, Mitch is the man. That's 870-5548. Mitch is the man. He was going to be here today with us, and then
He allowed me to step in for him. So
He did.
I want to say thank you, Mitch, for that.
Thank you, Mitch. And Mitch is out now selling something, so hopefully he's getting you a loan.
Of course he is.
Of course he is. Well, it already looks like, hard to believe, that we're winding down. We've got about 2 minutes left. So I think, is there anything in particular that you can think of that you'd like to say about?
Yes, I've said it already once, but I think it's $625,000. We quoted a payment on that, but for the average loan amount here in Hawaii, your payment is going to be $1,397. That's a loan amount of $330,000, and today that buys you a heck of a lot of house. And so what we know is most people out there pay more for rent today than the cost of the home ownership. So if you're out there looking, is there a property that you can think of, Betty, in the $500,000, $400,000 range out there that you would show someone today?
There's an amazing number of properties right now that you could purchase in the $500,000 range. But give us a call, 669-0070. Check our website at sakamotoproperties.com. And you can go through there, but call us and make an appointment. More important, just make an appointment, and we'll go through everything with you and help you with your wants and needs. So now we actually are totally winding down, so I think we're going to have to be moving on. We'll be chatting with you again in 2 weeks on the radio, but call us anytime. And what we're saying here is that we don't just do the multi-million-dollar properties. We like the reputation for that, but we want you to know that we will be there to help you with anything you need help with for your real estate needs. Call us 669-0070, and pretty quickly we're coming back up to Danny Couch. So let's all enjoy that for a moment and remember that we do love Hawaii and we are the luckiest people in the world. Aloha, and thank you, David.
Thank you for having me on.
Aloha.